Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome into Attacking Third, Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You know where we are. We are live at youtube.com/Attacking Third. Thanks for hanging with us. We've got a whole crew in the chat. Like this video and subscribe to our page because you'll get alerts when we go live. You can join the convo. It's a whole thing and you don't want to miss it. Plus, you can listen to us anywhere you get your podcasts. Attacking Third. I'm Lisa Carlin. I can't do it alone. I've got Jen Beattie and Jess McDonald with me today to talk everything NWSL, European football transfers, maybe a little mailbag at the end. We'll see how the show goes, but it is so good to see both of you here, Jen and Jess. Jess, countdown is on to baby o'clock. How are you feeling right now?
I feel like crap. I am ready. Y'all pray for me, please. Just
really
play Salt and Pepper, Push It for me, please. So just,
nice.
Yeah. Well, you look
any day now.
Gorgeous. You look serene. You're glowing. You're so ready. So thanks for spending some time with us. Hopefully we can distract you a little bit from feeling not so
great. Distraction. Yeah.
Jen, how are you? What's hanging?
I'm good. I think I finally got over the jet lag coming back from the UK. So I'm ready to roll. I'm feeling good.
I respect that. I got to see you this weekend in person and hang out, which was really fun. Yeah. Jen, I think the last time we did one of these shows together, it was you, me, and Darian. And we also did a mailbag. And one of the questions in there was, what do you like to play in? The rain, the snow, the sleet. It was kind of like rank those things. I played last night in the pouring rain. And I stand by my decision that rain is the worst.
Really? Why? What happened? Talk me through it.
I just couldn't see. My hair is a mess and I'm soaking wet. And then I have to like get home soaking wet. So it's not fun for me. Jess, what about you? Of the snow, of the sleet, the rain, the wind, what did you like playing in?
Neither. I don't like any of them because the wind, I'm shooting a ball and it goes that way and I'm aiming that way. I'm like, no, this isn't that. This isn't it. The rain, you can definitely miss me with the rain because, you know what? It's got its pros and cons. I can't see either when I'm playing in the rain. I can't stand that. But as a striker, the rain can be your best friend because when that ball skips and it misses the goalkeeper or if it misses a defender, you could take advantage of that. So it's got its pros and cons. I don't like playing in it, but I can take my advantage as a striker at least.
That's pretty much what Darian said too. And Jen as a defender was like, no, I love it. Slide tackling all day.
I love it. Slide tackling, but I feel like that's the typical kid that grew up in Glasgow, right? It rains like every other day. I've been saying it. The weather right now in New Jersey is like warm rain. And I was like, this feels like a Scottish summer. I feel at home. Things are great.
You guys, fun fact, I do not know how to slide. I've never slid in a day of my whole entire soccer career.
Really?
Never?
I do not. Never.
What do you mean you don't know how?
I
will
never forget. At practice, I would never forget when I did youth soccer, when I was playing club when I was younger, we went through an entire session working on slide tackling.
Oh,
yeah.
And I couldn't do it. My coach was just like, Jess, just go down like, you know, the plant foot goes here, the top foot goes here. He's like, you've played softball, you've dove or like you've slid at bases, haven't you? And I'm like, no, I just run, I just sprint and get to the base, or you know, I run and sprint and get to the ball. I've never slid. I don't know how to.
You're too good, basically, is what she's saying. Basically, she's too good to tackle. It was I was slide tackling everywhere. Jess was too good. She was too fast.
Yeah, she's like, I just got there. I didn't need it. Do you wish that you did, Jess? Is there a part of you that's like, I kind of wish I could have gotten into the slide tackles?
No, because I'm the one that gets slide tackled and it hurts, especially on turf. I'm like, all my friends who slide tackle really well, obviously the defenders first and foremost, the raspberries afterwards, it ain't worth it. Yeah. No, I'm running after the ball. I'm not hitting the ground because it'll take me 7 to 10 business days to get up anyway.
Well, 7 to 10 business days, I highly doubt that. But when we look at the NWSL table, the teams at the bottom, they're hoping it doesn't take them 7 to 10 business days to climb out of the basement either. That's what we're talking about. NWSL table through week 7. Who's at the bottom we're focusing at the cellar and what's going on in the bottom third of the table. To give everyone a little bit of a pulse check on NWSL right now, Kansas City is at the top in first place. Orlando is second. Third place, San Diego. Fourth place, Gotham. Portland Thorns in fifth place. Washington Spirit, sixth place. Seventh is Seattle. Eighth is Angel City. Ninth, North Carolina. 10th, Bay FC. 11th, Racing Louisville. 12th, Houston. 13th, Utah. And 14th, Chicago. Now, there are only 4 points separating fourth place Gotham from 11th place Racing Louisville, and Gotham has a game in hand because of that midweek match that they played. But let's focus on Louisville, Houston, Utah, and Chicago, because through 7 matches, they are the bottom 4 teams. They've struggling this year. But how accurate, Jen, is this representation of Louisville, Houston, Utah, and Chicago being at the bottom of the table?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to kind of judge it at this point. But I think, look, based on points, it obviously is accurate. My first thought goes straight to Utah, though. I feel like with Ali Sentner, your forward, Tanaka, I'm a big fan of her. And then I'm also looking at Alex Loella coming so close to coming back from injury. I'm sure we'll see her in a match day roster soon coming up. She'd been out most of the season with BFC last season. And I feel like with big players like that coming back and being at full strength, the center of the field, I'd expect them to climb a few more in the league. I think they've had a tough start. But look, I don't think anyone expected Chicago to be or had this tough of a season so far. But few weeks into it now, it's obviously, we were looking at week 3, week 4, who's going to pick up points. When you're coming to this point and you're in that bottom 4, the thing you're holding on to is the gap is still small between 4th and 11. Exactly what you said. There's not a lot of points that are win a few points and you can start to climb. So it's not all is lost for the bottom 4, but I'm still hopeful, especially for Utah, I would say.
Utah definitely they have the roster. You look at the roster and you're like, okay, they've got it. They've got McGlynn in goal, who is just absolutely phenomenal, and obviously Sitnor on the other side. So I think Utah has a decent chance, but I want Bev Yanez to succeed so badly, you guys. I think Racing is one of those teams that is difficult to play against. They always have been. It's never an easy game against them, but with execution, you never know what you're going to get out of them. And so they lost their 3 points going up against Portland last week, and then they come off a win. So it's like kind of like that back and forth. They're always in this bubble, but I think that they've got some potential with, Sears up top and Kayla Fisher. She's killing it right now. She's a natural midfielder who got thrown up at the 9 position, who has this high press, and she's just so tenacious. And I think that Racing Louisville, I think they might squeak through. Utah has the potential. Chicago, I think we just need to sprinkle some good juju on them. Honestly, at this point, I don't have much to say.
For Louisville, Jess, they sit on 8 points, same as North Carolina and Bay, who are 9th and 10th, respectively. So they've done pretty well. 2 wins, 1 draw in their last 5 matches. But this is a Racing Louisville team that is always the bridesmaid, never the bride. They have finished 9th every single season that they have played in the NWSL, even when the league expanded to include more teams in the playoffs. They still finished just outside of the postseason. What is it going to take for them to make it into the playoffs this year?
All honesty, I think with their identity, it's getting somewhere this season. And I don't know if it has to do with Bev. Maybe it does. But I know this team wants to run through a brick wall for her. But at the end of the day.
But is that enough?
I don't know, because the reason why I don't know, and I can say this now that I'm not even playing anymore, but I'm going to throw some people under the bus a little bit. But when I played for them, ownership had too much say. They had way too much say when it came to our head coach. A lot of our pre-game chats were like, owners want this, they want a high press, owners want us to do this, they want us to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, they're not our coaches. So they, front office chimed in too much when it came to field stuff. And so with that being said, I hope and pray they're allowing Bev to do her job, because that's what the coach is supposed to do. So at this point, I think that if they just sit back, let Bev do her thing, you know, I feel like the team can succeed.
It's for Bev, it's always been very interesting about how she has struggled a little bit, because everyone across the board who has played with her, coached under her, talked with her. I mean, we've even done interviews with her on A3, and she has so much passion and she knows the game so well.
She does.
So you want to root for her.
Yeah.
You have to in these types of moments, but they have struggled. Now, when you think about these bottom 4 teams with Louisville, Houston, Utah, and Chicago, Louisville has played most of them. They've beaten Houston and they've beaten Chicago, which makes sense that they're in 11th versus 12th, 13th, 14th of all the standings. Jen, you gave a little bit of a shout out to Utah. I also think this is a team that needs to be higher in the standings. I think they're underperforming, and I don't think it actually has too much to do with their tactics or what they're doing. They're just unlucky and unhealthy at times. They've been having really inconsistent lineups throughout this season. Claudia Zornoza out last week. Mina Tanaka has been out for a little bit. You look at Bianca St. George was also out last week. And those are just short-term injuries, not to mention Paige Monahan going down in the first game of the season. You mentioned Alex Luera coming back. Like, they have just been plagued. And you can look at the season-ending injuries and say, okay, like, that's tough. Chloe Lacasse, when are these players going to come back? But they're not available, so we can't worry about that. But then you have all these little injuries that pile up. And if Jimmy Koenraadts can't play consistent players week in and week out, how much more difficult does that make it to play consistently?
That is really tough. But I think, you know, from a squad perspective or roster, I think as long as you're still trying to play the same philosophy so that when those players are back fit, it's just hit the ground running. You said it yourself. Short-term injuries are so much different to longer-term season-ending ones. It's like you can only work with the players you've got. But I do think you said it yourself. If it's just, you know, small margins, luck hasn't gone your way, plagued with injuries, I think that's still something to hold on to in the dressing room. You still keep working towards the goal, and points will eventually be picked up. I think, you know, we've all been there as players where luck's just against you and it's people are missing and you're thinking, right, just stay focused, stick to the plan. As long as everyone's rallying in that sense, things will eventually pick up. But I completely agree from a Utah perspective, and I'm hoping that's the narrative in their dressing room, because they have seen some good stuff. They've scored some good goals. Conceded, unfortunately. Consistency is hard to find in this point in the season, but it'll pick up. I've got the faith in Utah.
Oh, got the faith in
Yes,
Utah. They're going to like to hear that. I've got faith in Houston, guys.
Yeah.
Houston Dash has, they're in 12th place, 7 points. They've been, I think the standings do accurately represent how they have performed in games, but they have had, of these bottom 4 teams in the bottom third of the table, Houston's played the toughest schedule of any of these teams. They've played Washington Spirit, Gotham, Angel City, who's been a very bright light this year, and Kansas City. So then the other teams that they've played, Utah, Chicago, Louisville, are other teams in the bottom of the table. So they've really had a gauntlet of a season with new coach, new general manager, so many new players to start the season up against some of the best in the league, like Washington, Kansas City, Gotham. It is an uphill battle for them to climb, and they've still performed pretty well in those games. You can see what Houston is trying to build upon, the style that they want to play, going through the central players, looking to switch the point of attack. A lot of it comes down to their midfield core, but getting time together, right? Like 7 weeks in plus a little preseason, now is when, to me, it's going to be crunch time for Houston. If they can start to consistently pick up points and disrupt teams that are at the top of the table over these next 3 weeks, 4 weeks is going to be very crucial for the Dash.
I agree.
All right, guys, what about Chicago? This team's at the bottom. Is that just like, are we saying good luck, Chicago? See if you can pick up points where you can. How much realistically can the Stars move throughout the rest of the season?
I want to see what this interim coach is going to do first. Misaki, I think that some type of identity needs to be created and some type of game plan as well, because it just seems so jumbled throughout the season. It was the same way last year. They relied so much on Mallory Swanson. okay, how are we going to adjust without her, without our superstar? And they've got the potential. You know, there's a couple gaps that need to be filled when it comes to their roster. I think there needs to be a big dog in the midfield position to kind of take over, kind of be that quarterback of the team.
I like that shout, Jess. They need someone in the midfield to control tempo.
Yeah.
They have too many attacking-minded players that want to play higher that are forced to play a little bit deeper. I also think they need a little bit more help up top.
Agreed. So just a couple big dogs here and there, just a sprinkle here.
They have a lot of role players on this Chicago team.
Talking about schedule, though, their next games are Spirit, NC Courage, and KC. Like, that's a really tough few weeks ahead. You're talking about,
and they just played San Diego and
exactly. I'm like, for me, it's conceding goals, man. They're conceding far too many goals to be successful in this league. So it's getting that collective discipline mentality, especially going to these next 3 games where you're coming up against opponents with some quality players, man. And you need to get through these next games and pick up some points where you can.
You can't put all the pressure on Alyssa Nair in goal. She's good, but she can't go. It can't be 1v11. And at times, sometimes it feels like that. Now, Chicago, give them some flowers. They pulled off a scoreless draw against Gotham this past weekend, against Esther, who was leading the Golden Boot, against Ella Stevens. Gotham side that is very good. Chicago locked it down defensively. Now, we have to wait to see if that was a managerial bump or actually tactics and a little bit more buy-in, a little bit more defensive stability from this Chicago side.
I actually, the first half, I enjoyed watching Chicago. I thought they were playing some good stuff. They were building out from the back, playing through lines, changing formation, that sort of 3 at the back, ready to play through lines. Gotham struggled with it the first sort of 15, 20 minutes. Then they grew into the game, obviously, and maybe had much better chances. But I think based on what Chicago are trying to, you can see what they're trying to do in that game, especially for me. But in terms of style of play, it's like, where can they get consistency? But I think a clean sheet for them is a good start going into these next 3 games.
Exactly.
Now they just got to convert at the other end, find the back of the net.
Get Ludmilla on the ball. Get her on the ball.
Always. And then maybe we'll get some more backflips from the Brazilian international. That's what I always want.
Right.
There is international windows, transfer windows coming up and available. So let's take a look overseas at European free agency. Make some predictions in our crystal ball. Don't go anywhere. We're talking European free agents next. Hey, welcome back to Attacking Third. The European schedule is coming to a close. We've got Champions League final in a couple weeks. We've got seasons wrapping up over there, which means good news for us because that means the transfer window, free agency portal is almost opened. And we are going to take a look at our crystal ball, some of the summer transfers that we could expect in the women's game. Now, this is purely rumor mill. This is speculation. Don't come after us, right, Jen? This is the disclaimer we want to put out there.
Don't come after us. We're just guessing. There's lots of things to take into account in this one. Rumor mill.
But we're going to have some fun with it. So there are a number of notable free agents that haven't signed new contracts that we know of yet, that haven't been public, or extensions with clubs that we are keeping an eye on. Jen, I'm going to go to you first. Who overseas is potentially available for transfer this upcoming summer that you want to see make a move, and what can they provide?
So my eyes went straight to Lindsey Heaps. I think she's coming out of contract. She's USA captain, just got married. The Colorado team that are coming in, obviously that's next season. Will she wait for that to happen? Or is San Diego an option? But I think for her, the caliber of player she is, getting knocked out in the semi-final of the Champions League would have been pretty disappointing. And would we love to see her back in the NWSL? Absolutely. So she was the first one for me when I saw her out of contract. That was like, okay, NWSL has to be calling, right? See your US national team captain back in the league would be pretty awesome.
I would love to see her come back into the NWSL. I think with Denver joining the league, she is a Colorado native, and Denver on the horizon. That's most likely where we'll see her end up. Is it worth it for her to come for 1 year prior to Denver joining the league, or is it a little bit more consistent to just sign another 1 year with Lyon?
Short-term contracts, I think, are hard. I think every player wants stability, right? I think, will she? This is where it's like rumor mill. It's so hard to predict. Like we all know, having signed contracts on our own and what that feels like, and the amount of things that come into place where it's personal, family, husband, everything. There's so many things to take into account when it comes to a contract and where you want to be. But I definitely think there's an opportunity to come home for her. And I think that's massive. And I think it's, we saw it with Alex Morgan and San Diego, and going back to your hometown where there's a team is too big an opportunity. But there are so many players on this list in the rumor mill. There's a lot.
There are some good ones. I've got circled forward Chloe Kelly, the English international who currently is at Arsenal. She's on loan from Manchester City. I mean, at City, she wasn't starting. She wasn't getting consistent minutes just with how stacked that roster was. She made the move to Arsenal a few months ago, which I think was the best thing for her career at the time. She's starting, and now look at them. They are in a Champions League final against Barcelona. How that final goes for Chloe Kelly, I think is going to determine what move she makes in this upcoming summer transfer window, potentially. But you also have to remember the Euros are this summer. England's looking to do it again, but she is going to have a lot of options. Teams are going to come calling, whether that's around England and just in the WSL, or even across Europe, right? I could see big nation or big clubs calling her and saying, hey, we want you. PSG, I think, would be very lucky to have her. I mean, I want her in the NWSL, but
absolutely,
that's selfishly, I want her here. I don't know if that's going to happen ahead of the Euros, though, this summer.
I mean, first of all, the turnaround that she's had from a personal perspective is unbelievable. Like, she said it herself. All she wanted to do was enjoy her football, be happy, be back playing. To go from that situation at Man City under Gareth Taylor to in a Champions League final, and not just in a but she's been playing. She's not Beth Mead out of the starting 11. That was a really tough thing to do. Renee Slegers has favoured her in the starting 11 for Arsenal, so it's a credit to her for making the jump. I think she's a homebody. She's definitely come out and said she doesn't want to move far away from home. I think having been in Manchester for so long. But do I think she would crush it out in the NWSL? Absolutely. Her 1v1 play, the way she takes on players, she's such an exciting forward that I think would be awesome out here. She could play for,
Who would you want to see Kelly play for?
Who would I want to see? Do you know what? She would be awesome at the Courage. I think a kind of another forward player, that sort of 1v1. We've said the Courage of Miss Carolyn a lot. I think she'd be an awesome replacement in the terms of 1v1, taking players on, more of a threat in that final third with that sort of possession-based blend that they're so known for. I think she'd be great there.
Could you imagine Ashley Sanchez playing those little balls to Chloe Kelly? That combo power would be.
And that triangle with Sanchez, Chloe, and Brian Williams would be nuts on that right side.
On the right side?
Yeah.
Oh, dangerous.
Yes.
All right, Jess, when you look at some of these transfer potentials, who are you keyed in on?
All right, so I'm going to go with Ingrid Engen. She's at Barcelona, just a phenomenal midfielder, and I'm talking about big dog for Chicago. So I'm going to start a rumor and be like, hey, come to the NWSL, come to Chicago. They need a little ayudar, a little bit of help in that midfield position. But oh my gosh, that woman, she is so fancy on the ball. I can watch her play all day. I mean, the whole midfield, honestly, but just how comfortable she is, her distribution, the way she's able to thread the needle to their strikers. I mean, she's so much fun to watch. She brings this really big personality into the midfield. And you know what? I want all the internationals in the NWSL just so they can continue to show up and show out. So that's me also being biased. So if there's a team that needs that kind of help, someone who brings a different type of style of play, I think Chicago would be pretty dope.
If you're talking about a midfielder who needs a stature and a quality of on the ball, I think you're spot on with that. Lisa, who have you got your eye on?
Yeah, I like this, Jen, because there are so many different players across Europe, but one that is almost an underrated player is Martha Thomas, the forward out of Tottenham who has played across the WSL and been influential, but I think she hasn't reached her potential based on the team and the players that have been around her. When she gets in good moments, she is a ferocious forward in her positioning in the box. She's relentless. She wants to get on the end of balls. She's pretty physical and she can go into tackles. Her contract is up at the end of this year. And she's been with Tottenham for a minute. They've struggled, right? Men's side, women's side. It's been a tough year for Tottenham. They sit 10th right now in the WSL standings. And it's not been an easy road for her. I want her to get out of the Super League. I want her to come to NWSL, honestly, and work her way into a different tactics of teams. It's such a transitional league. I think she could be beneficial playing a little bit quicker, and it'll challenge her as an individual to grow her own game. But this is one in this summer transfer window that I'm really excited to see what teams come calling.
What team do you think should come calling?
To be honest, I think that Chicago could use a player like her. She's not a big dog, but we also haven't seen Chicago sign any big dogs, right? This is a player, though, that could contribute in that attacking end and maybe provide a little bit more stability if she plays as a false 9 or in that 10 role. She can connect the midfield if she wants to the front line, which then would allow Ali Schlegel to get higher up the field. And Chicago could play with 3 front runners in Ludmila, Jamise Joseph, and Schlegel, with then Julia Grosso and Martha Thomas sitting in like a double pivot 10 to retain some of that possession.
Could you imagine?
It's a good one.
That's a good one.
Think about the NWSL and which teams need help.
Yeah.
But I mean, Chicago, definitely, they need the help. I think she would fit in a lot of different places, though. Like, I think that she could also slot into Houston at times. They have a lot of players already, but I also think in Portland, Thomas, she could be pretty good in Portland Thorns, adding a little bit more depth and wrinkle.
What I love about Martha Thomas, she did play college out here, so she'll understand the game. She's familiar with the culture. But if given permission, I'd like to stay on the Scottish hype and drop in another Scottish
permission
player.
Granted, of course.
So Kirsty Hanson for me, Aston Villa, I think they've had a really tough season and she's also been in and out, but she's still been banging in goals. And I think she's the kind of player, again, that would suit this league so much. She's out of contract as well, scored 2 against Arsenal recently. And I think she has the technical ability and the physical ability to, like what you're saying, go into so many teams out here. And I'd love to see her in this league. I think she would do really well.
All right. Well, where's she going?
I think, you know what? Portland has surprised me this year. Portland have been climbing the ladder. I think they're sitting in the 5th. Am I right?
Yes.
Taking the 5th spot. And I feel like she could add to their sort of, with Dana Castellanos and behind, feeding her sort of wide balls. Dana, that midfielder, driving forward, loves playing it outside winger to go on 1v1s, and that's Kirsty Hanson's dream. I think when you've got midfielders feeding her those kind of balls, which is what she'll be used to playing in the WSL, so did Castellanos. Dream matchup for out in Portland.
Ooh, and then play Hanks out wide, because Hanks is on fire right now, so I can only imagine those 3 just slicing and dicing. Oh my gosh.
When we look at Aston Villa, Jess, there's also Rachel Daly that's potentially out of a contract. She's played in the NWSL before. Now she's been at Villa. Could we see her return to the States?
To be honest, I would love for her to. But you know what? Villa, they're cooking right now. So I don't know. She's doing really well with them right now. She's been such a great leader for them. She's been one of the biggest difference makers for them. And I would love to see her come back to the NWSL because she was just a freaking handful in the NWSL. I couldn't stand it, but that's a compliment to her. She's ruthless, but you know, she's obviously much more experienced. I think she's 31 now, and that's kind of peak age range for women's footballers. So bringing her experience onto a squad out here in the NWSL would be huge, especially those who are struggling to score goals right now. And
Daly knows how to score.
Yeah, she knows how to score, and she's versatile. She could play outside back too, which is even more impressive. So if you need her here, you need her there. She can play anywhere. So I think she's
one of the big moves for Daly that came a couple years ago when she left the NWSL was in order to get on the England women's national team and that was a big part of her move back to England. And she did that. I think that she's also found a home at Villa and taken on a much bigger, more important role, to put it frank, than I think she would have here in the United States. I wouldn't be surprised if she stays overseas or in with Villa too. Keep them on the up and up. It's a good one though. Rachel Daly is ruthless. I played against her in college, guys.
Really?
Yeah, it was terrible.
Was she a baller way back then as well?
Yes, yeah. She was like so. She also obviously is British and English, and we're an American college system in the NCAA. So she brought this like English ruthlessness and aggression that kind of rocked the Big East at times. It was like, oh, we're against Rachel Daly this week. That stinks.
Really?
Yes. And she was a forward. I was a defender, Jen. It was terrible. Yeah. It was terrible. So I was glad when she graduated. I was like, adios, Rachel.
I won't miss you, honey. All right, bye.
But I miss her in the NWSL. I miss watching her week to week. All right, guys, this was a fun little combo. We'll circle back on it in the summer and see where these players go, where they end up, what teams in NWSL pick up maybe some English players or bring them in from European. Don't go anywhere, though. We are staying in England. We're talking the London City Lionesses next. Stick with us. Hey, all, welcome back to Attacking Third. We have some congratulations to give out because the London City Lionesses have made history. They are the first team with no affiliation with a men's club to earn a place in the Barclays Women's Super League. They were promoted to the WSL for the first time in their history after clinching the women's championship title last Sunday. They avoided defeat. It was a 2-2 draw with second place Birmingham. But now they have been promoted. The biggest thing that comes out of this promotion from Michelle Kang, who has invested so much money into this club, is making sure that they don't get relegated again, because the last two teams to be promoted to the WSL have gone right back down. Crystal Palace, they were in the WSL for this last season, and now they're going back down from the top flight. This is huge for the Lionesses. Absolutely massive. Congratulations to them. But this changes things because they don't have a men's affiliate, Jen, that now they're promoted to the top flight. Does this represent perhaps a shift in English women's professional soccer?
I think so. I think there's been such a disappointment when, you know, teams like Crystal Palace, Reading, Bristol City have been promoted into WSL and then been relegated within a season. I honestly think this is going to shake up women's football in England, because there's been also a lot of negative chat around Manchester United women over the years, even Wolves recently, about not having the investment. I think there's so many pros and cons about having that affiliation with the men's team, but ultimately, if there's no investment there and you've got standalone investors like Michelle Kang willing to just trust the process and know that women's football is only doing one thing, it's growing, and investment is a positive. But I think genuinely, Kumagai, Kosa Aslani, Sophia Jakobsen, the players they brought in already to play at Championship, I cannot wait to see who they bring in this summer, because the quotes already coming out is they want to be a mid-table team already. They're not even thinking about being relegated. They want to go and compete, and that is awesome. I think especially after you've seen record-breaking signings from Chelsea with Naomi Girma coming into the league, Michelle Kang's going to blow it all out of the park. I think it's awesome. It's such an exciting time. I'm getting wound up talking about it just because it's just really cool. It's different, and I think that's what's great to see. I think I've seen all the positives of how it works over in the NWSL and how you're your standalone team, and that link between the ownership is so apparent. So to see London City Lionesses do it, and it go down to the wire, by the way, that's a competitive league, and to go to the final game of the season, that game was televised, just shows how competitive that league is for Tier 2. It's so cool.
I was so excited when I saw Kosovari Asllani transfer over to the Lionesses, and then Sophia Jakobsen, because I'm like, what are they doing? What are they about to do this season? You know what I mean? They got some big dogs on that team, but it doesn't even surprise me that Michelle Kang worked her magic. So fun fact, I got to watch this brilliant woman speak a few years ago, Michelle Kang. I was in DC. I went to a women's summit, and she was talking about what vision she had for women's football globally, not just the spirit. She's like, if the spirit don't succeed, that's not on me. I'm gonna make sure I'm taking care of my team and my girls, basically. She went over to Europe in the men's EPL league and went to different facilities, Tottenham being one of them. Okay, what are you guys doing to manage your players? Okay, how are you guys taking care of your players? How is it that you guys are succeeding? How is it that you guys have the least amount of injuries? I mean, she got every little detail from the EPL and is applying that with any teams that she is part owner for. And that's exactly what she did for London City. And it doesn't even surprise me that they succeeded, because this is one of the few owners that is actually taking care of her team in and out, no matter what.
A lot of people could say, yeah, that's easy to do when you have billions of dollars. But the Michelle Kang effect is not just about money, because she is making very intentional, not just business moves, but smart moves about investment and education into the women's specific fitness and research and understanding how the game works, not necessarily by her, but hiring people to do that. And she makes these moves immediately as they happen, right? You look at Washington Spirit and what she did to turn around that club, Lyon as well. But when Michelle Kang came in and said, I'm buying London City, that was December of 2023. A year and a half later, they're promoted to the WSL. And the moves that she made, you guys both mentioned it. Asllani, Sophia Jakobsen, the Swedish internationals coming in, the ex-Barcelona midfielder, Maria Perez. They brought in head coach Jocelyn French, I don't know, my Scottish French friend over there. The former PSG coach, right, brought in experienced Champions League high-level players into this club. Yes, money helps to bring them in, but when you have an owner that is telling you their vision for the club, it's not just to be promoted, but it is to be a mid-WSL table team, to be higher than that. And it wasn't just experience too, right? They brought in Izzy Goodwin, the 22-year-old English international who was the championship's top goal scorer from the previous year. This year as well, 16 goals in just 18 matches. She won the league in the Golden Boot race. And then she announces, okay, we're going to build a 23-acre training facility as well. So not only am I going to bring in players and coaches and provide the talent that is needed, I'm also going to provide the stability around you in the staff that I'm building up and the resources I'm putting into it, which means that I firmly believe when she says that we're going to build a team to be at a minimum in the WSL for years and at a minimum mid-table. I believe her, hands down.
No, for sure. I think, you know, a lot of women's teams, I think, in Europe feel like a little bit of a box tick. You know, they have the name, they have the shirt, they wear the badge, but there's no investment. And I think with Michelle Kang and the way she invests, it's the complete opposite. She sees the vision. She's putting money to the most important parts, whether it's research, exactly what you're saying, Lisa, facilities, what's going to make these players in the best possible place to go and perform and win games and be promoted. And I think that's just such a shake-up. And I think we might see more of it. But I think a lot of people back in December 2023, when you're talking about the time she took over, were like, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
And to see it blossom of what it's turned into is awesome.
We just talked about, Jess, all these different players in Europe that are potentially have contracts coming up this summer. It's not always the biggest and the brightest to go to a team that has just been promoted to the top flight. But Michelle Kang, does she make it seem a desirable destination to go to London City?
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? It's like, oh, okay, what did she do for this team? Is it worth going? Okay, let me do my research. I have friends on that team. I would contact them. Hey, what has your experience been like? Let me know everything. But just to be able to bump up into the first league, it's nothing short of amazing. And so I think that it looks good on paper, but, you know, as a player, I'd want to do my research first to make sure, okay, outside looking in, it looks nice, but being in it, it can be different. And so, I mean, I know Michelle Kang is taking care of her players, honestly, at the end of the day, but yeah, it seems really nice to go there now. Yeah.
It seems like they like her too. They let her do the trophy lift.
Right.
They won, which I think says a lot.
So I love that, because I was thinking about that. I was going to ask, like, is that normal for, in an American perspective, NWSL, for the owner to present the trophy? Because it's definitely not in England. I would honestly go as far as saying, I don't think I've ever met an owner playing for clubs in England. That's the distance that there is and the scale of the clubs that you're at. Whereas when it's a standalone entity, you have your owner, the person who's putting everything into it, present you with. I thought it was awesome. I think the connection's amazing. I think it's so similar to NWSL with the close connection you can have when you're the only team. I thought it was awesome. I loved it.
Jen, I would say that in American sports, where we could look just at the NWSL, the owners that are invested in the individuals of the team and the success of the personnel versus, hey, they're just doing this because it was a charity for so long. And I think that might still be a little bit of the narrative in England. It's like, okay, whatever. A lot of the teams that are associated with men's programs, it's like, okay, yeah, we've checked this box. Yeah. So no, the owners aren't going to be as involved, but there are owners that are involved, right? You look at Bay FC and they're incredible former U.S. women's national teams that are involved. Angel City, they made owning Angel City cool. They made it a thing. They made it a cool club that you want to be part of. So it does happen in the NWSL, but not that often. And I think there's two folds to it. Sometimes the owners are like, it's not about me. I want to be in the back. Not that Michelle Kang wants it to be about her, but I think she has a personal connection with these players and these teams that she's bringing up.
I would say as a player that I would say you love that, because I think you want to know what especially as an experienced, I think when you're looking at Aslani and Jakobsen and Kumagai, all the players that have been there, done it, and they're so, I love that tactical move of bringing them in. I was like, that is fascinating. But they would have been so intrigued from the business side of stuff. They would have been the ones asking the questions, and to be in that kind of seat and have the ability to do that with an owner is unheard of in European football. Like, you don't get that closeness. And I think when you're talking about connection, I just think it was awesome. So I love it when an owner is kind of very in the picture and hands-on and seen. I think that's so important for players in terms of investment on the pitch and off it. I think you get more from a player if you have that. Oh,
for sure. 100%. I like what producer Mark just asked. What happens if Kang has two teams in Champions League, Lyon and the Lionesses? You think she'll wear like that double jersey? Like it's
split.
Like split? Like
split down the middle.
If they play each other, for sure, she'll have it split right down the middle. I mean, what is the realistic finish at the end of the WSL for London City? What is realistic for them in the table?
I can see them pushing for Champions League. I'm looking at even the top four of this year, where it was Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Man United. The drop off after the top four was quite a big gap in points. Yeah. So they'll be pushing for top four. Whether they get Champions League is another question. But do I think they can break into that top five, top six? 100%. It's doable.
Yeah, Man City in fourth place at 40 points, and then Brighton right behind them in 28th. I mean, Brighton had a turnaround this season as well. That's a big gap. But can London City compete? Can they break into that top four?
Listen, see the rumor mill of potential players that we just went. Maybe they all got to London City Lionesses, and then we're all laughing.
There you go.
Yeah, it depends who they bring in. To answer your question, it depends who they bring in. But I think they've got all the attraction. You see the positivity around them. To get experienced players, I think it's 519 caps international caps between Aslani, Kumagai, and Yak. That is incredible. To already have that level of experience, to build on that, it's an amazing foundation that they've already set. So I'm excited to see who they bring in, and I think they can compete 100%.
You mentioned, Jen, earlier that Michelle Kang and the things that she's done and the things that this team has done is unheard of in European soccer.
Yeah,
I think that is something that Kang thrives on, having something that has not been done before and wanting to do it, wanting to execute it. And now she has done it with the London City Lionesses being their first time promoted into the top flight WSL, and also being the first team in the WSL with no affiliation to a men's club. Congratulations, London City Lionesses. We are so excited to watch you ball out in the WSL. They're going to play their home matches at Hayes Lane, which they share with the League Two side, Bromley. It's about 5,000 capacity. Guys, go sell it out. Go sell it out. That would make Michelle Kang very happy. Don't go anywhere, guys. We've got a mailbag segment. I think we're going to do a mailbag segment. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Ding dong, mail's here. Welcome back to A3. We've got a mailbag segment. If you've got questions for us, for Jen, Jess, McCall, Darian, Christine, Sandra, myself, hit us up at Attacking Third across socials. Drop them to our Gmail account, attackingthirder with an ER at the end at gmail.com. Producer Mike gathers them and he drops them for us. And we've got plenty today that we are talking about. Let's start with the top. Question number one. Should we go with this one? This one's directed directly at Jen. Who do you think would the transfer from Arsenal to the NWSL?
Ooh. I mean, we've already covered Chloe Kelly, right? And how big that would be if she came into this league. Do I think she'll want to stay at Arsenal? 100%. Man, they just made Champions League final. Why would she want to leave? A player of actually that we've not spoken about. Two midfielders I'm going to name. I think Kyra Cooney-Cross, Australian international. When the midfielder fully fit at Arsenal, she doesn't get as many minutes. But my word, when she has had her opportunity and played, she has really shone the light on what she can do. And I think she's a box-to-box player. I think she's a regular in the national team for Australia, and I think she'd be awesome out here. And I know she'll be frustrated not getting as many minutes when they're fully fit. So would I love to see Kyra Cooney-Cross in the NWSL? Yes. So that might be my pick for potentially a transfer if she wants to.
That's a good one. I would love.
What do you guys think? Fans?
Yes.
Disagreeing?
I want Kyra
nice.
Cooney-Cross in the NWSL. For sure. Moving on. Question number 2. This one comes at us. Can you explain how international roster spots work for the NWSL? Yes, I would love to. In previous NWSL seasons, there used to be just 5 international roster slots allotted to each team. Now, that changed 2 years ago ahead of 2024 season. Now it's a max of 7 international slots. So meaning that there are increased including the 2 more spots per roster. We also got 2 more teams in the NWSL. So now there are 98 potential international slots available in the NWSL. You can trade, though, for these slots. We see that happen all the time, whether it's for people, used to be for draft picks, maybe some allocation money. Now it's a lot of times for international slots. This was an advantage taken by the NWSL commissioner, Jessica Berman, in order to grow the game, make it more international, make it more worldwide, plus the salary cap increasing. So when you look across the roster right now in the NWSL, San Diego has 8. Utah, I think, has 9 right now, and Washington has 7. So that's kind of how it works. Is there anything I missed, Jess or Jen?
You crushed that. I
you did.
I was taking notes, to be honest.
I was learning too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for. Question number 3. This one comes at us asking about Barber Banda and Chawinga, Jess. It says, have Banda and Chawinga been quiet compared to last season, or have teams figured out how to defend against Banda and Chawinga?
No one's figured out how to defend these two young women. My goodness, they're still making an impact on their teams just because they haven't scored as many goals as everyone's expecting. I wouldn't say that, they've taken a step back, but they're still creating a lot of chances. Even when Chawinga came in the last, 20, 30 minutes, against Seattle Reign, she still made an impact. She's still dribbling out of tight spaces between 3 and 4 players. Banda, she's still doing the same thing. She's getting in line. She's assisting more. Both of them are assisting more. But as far as, them kind of letting off the pedal and being quiet, absolutely not. No.
No, absolutely not. Jen, you've defended against both of them last year in the NWSL.
Are you doing okay, Jen? Did you see it?
I definitely never figured that one out. So let me know when anyone does. I got some notes to be taken on that one. No, they're both incredible. I think maybe not having the service as much this year, I don't think anyone can try and figure out how to, come up against that kind of pace. It is next level. And I think, Jess, you're spot on. When Chawinga comes into the game, you see her quality. She obviously had a few niggles this season. It's a little bit different. But Banda's still topping the charts with number of shots being taken. It's just I've no doubt some of them are going to hit the back of the net very, very soon.
And you almost you don't expect two players to come in their first year in the league and be as hot as they were to maintain that, right? They have long careers ahead of them. You almost I don't want to say sizzle out because that's not it at all, but just settle in to the teams and to the leagues. This next question comes at us about U.S. Women's National Team. They're asking, who do we want picked to be called up to the next U.S. Women's National Team camp at the end of May? So through 7 weeks of NWSL, specifically looking at that, Jess, who do you want to see be called up to this next camp?
I would love to see Lily Real. I have been enjoying her all season long. I mean, just a fantastic left foot, 1v1 defender. She went up against Kouassi one game and just shut her down. I'm like, Kouassi? And you're a rookie? Holy moly. And got an assist that game. I would love to see some Lily Real out there. So that's my vote.
We need outside backs. There is a shortage and an epidemic of defenders happening, and you get hot and you get cold. I like the shout for Lily Real. Guys, if you are scoring goals consistently, you've got some flair to you, you deserve a call up. Riley Tiernan out of Angel City.
Nice.
Get her up there. Why not?
Yes.
We need people that can score goals. And I think that's a really good look. Emma Hayes was at the Angel City game in which Riley Tiernan scored her first goal as well. So she's seen her in person. She's watched her. I want to see Riley Tiernan get a call up. We have a suggestion coming at us in the mailbag segment. It says, can you add team captain to the weekly best 11? Sure.
Yes, we can.
Sure we can.
Easy peasy.
Always the suggestion.
We'll
we do coach sometimes. We do captain. I like this one.
I like it.
Team captain is a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, our last mailbag question that I am thrilled to hear both of you answer. Who is your dream 5-a-side? It could be current or retired players.
I have a question on this. Is this like worldwide or NWSL?
Worldwide.
Okay.
Why not?
I have my 5.
Oh, she's
go ahead then. Oh, my goodness.
Wait, also, Jess, we have to put ourselves in there, right?
Yeah, put yourself.
You have to back yourself, right?
Okay.
And then you could add another one if you want, like a sub.
Okay.
Make it 6.
So my favorite, Raffaele, is one of the best centre backs I think I've ever played with at Arsenal. Obviously, at the Pride now, struggle with injuries and really, but she is one of the best technical centre backs I've ever played with. She's in there. So me, Rafa, Kim Little, 35-year-old, almost in her prime, shows no sign of showing down. Kim Little's in there with Marta. Had to get the goat in. Marta's got to be in. And Bon Mati. She's going to finish my 5.
Oh my gosh.
Good 5.
Whoa.
All right, I'm logging off.
Wow. Show me what you got.
No, come on,
got?
Jeff.
All right. Do we get a goalkeeper? We get a goalkeeper?
You can do whatever you want. It's
All
5
right.
aside though, so
Part of your 5.
they would play the field.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll skip the goalkeeper. Okay. I'm going to go with Abby Ursig. I will go with Sam Mewis.
Nice. That's a great one.
Yeah, Sam Mewis, my girl. I will go with Crystal Dunn.
Strong.
Marta. And
Cool.
Sam Kerr.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah. Sam Kerr and Marta have always been kind of my dream players I've always wanted to play with and never had the chance to. So I'm going to go with those two. And then myself.
Good job. Yeah.
Jess, can you imagine the dimes that you would serve them?
Exactly. All day. Let me play Sam Kerr in behind. Are you kidding me?
You would double your assists, which is currently top of the NWSL right now, all time. You would just double that immediately.
It'd be triple probably.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, who was your goalkeeper that you were going to go with?
Oh, I was going to go with Uncle Alyssa.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Alyssa.
Yeah.
Alyssa Nair. You guys call her Uncle. The teammates call her Uncle.
Yeah.
Why? Can
Uncle.
you fill us in on this? Why?
She just brings the uncle vibe. She's always like the aunt, but just started calling her uncle instead, basically. Yeah. She's a hardcore aunt, you guys, like off the field. If you see her with her nieces and nephews, it's so precious. But yeah, she's uncle.
I love it. Guys, thanks for asking us your questions, doing all the things. Yeah, Jen, what's up?
What's yours?
5. You have to get your 5.
No, I didn't do this.
I was going to say, is Martha and all 3 of your 5s?
I can do mine real quick. Ready?
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was like,
oh, I did.
Okay.
Just like, yeah, I did. Darian Jenkins.
Nice.
Jen Beattie.
Oh.
Jess McDonald. McCall Zervoni.
What an intro show.
Christine Cupo. And Sandra Herrera is our captain.
Love it.
Did I miss anyone?
That's the sweetest. Yeah, imagine.
For the A3 roster right now. Yeah, hands down. Could you imagine how good my team would be?
Absolutely. That's scary. That's scary.
It is scary. Lola Bonta too. Can we add her in there? Can we get her in the mix?
Yeah.
But I guess we could do current or retired players. Okay. I was going with a retired crew here.
Nice.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for making me do that. I love you all. Thanks, guys, for asking us your questions. If you have questions for anyone on the A3 crew, let us know. Hit us up on socials at Attacking Third, or you can email us attackingthirder with an ER at gmail.com. Thanks for hanging with us today. This was a really fun show. I loved being with you guys. Jess, good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day coming up.
Thank you.
Perhaps ×3 before we know it.
Yes.
So excited for you.
Thank you. Send the juju my way, please.
We're sending you all the juju. Guys, Attacking Third is back on Thursday, May 8th, 11 a.m. Eastern, live right here on YouTube. And of course, you can listen to us anywhere you get your podcasts. Thanks for hanging with us today. Enjoy it. For Jen, Jess, and Mark, I'm Lisa. This was Attacking Third.